Everybody has a story, but not everybody tells the truth about it. This is The Untold Truth, a space where we talk about the things people avoid: trauma, pressure, pain, healing, and growth. The real conversations behind the highlight reels. Because healing doesn't start with pretending, it starts with honesty. And when you're ready to speak, your truth deserves to be heard. Welcome back to The Untold Truth. I'm your host, Joshua Brinkley. And on season 1, we talked about my life experiences, how I grew over time, my basketball career, college, and where I am today. On season 2, we'll bring on other guests and talk about their life experiences, what they've gone through, and how they have healed from that. Today, I have Mrs. Claire Brinkley. Welcome.
Hey, thanks.
How you doing today?
Pretty good. Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
Happy snow day.
Happy snow day. Today is Saturday, January 24th, 2026. Mrs. Claire Brinkley is a communicator, environmental advocate, yogi in training, and purpose-driven entrepreneur whose life bridges small-town roots with global perspective. With degrees in intercultural communications and environmental communication and advocacy. She has worked across government, nonprofit, academia, and clean energy sectors. She helped develop over 20 megawatts of solar projects in Virginia and Delaware, and has lived and worked abroad in Mexico City and Ghana. Currently completing yoga teacher training, Claire is preparing for her next chapter of wellness entrepreneurship focused on balance, healing, and community. Welcome.
Thanks, babe.
All right, so I'm going to jump into these questions. First things first, I want to talk about your roots and your identity.
Okay.
All right. What is it like growing up in a small town?
You've been there.
I have been there.
It was lucky that, because it hasn't changed at all.
Yep.
That's not true. It has changed a little bit. Well, I guess for anybody that doesn't know, I'm from Minnesota, not Minneapolis. I'm from a really small town, about 45 minutes north, right next to Wisconsin. When I say right next to, I mean literally like 10-minute drive. I was
She's what you would call a cheesehead.
your words, not mine. Yeah, so it's this tiny town in Minnesota, and a lot of towns in Minnesota are small, but what makes Lindstrom so interesting is it's a Swedish town. Um, Almost everybody there, at least when I was growing up, was a white person, and not just a white person, but Scandinavian, and not just Scandinavian, Swedish. To the point where on all of these businesses on our main drag, you have the name of the shop, and then underneath it, the name of the shop in Swedish. So it is really, really quaint and felt very safe, and I have no complaints. But looking back, it was kind of strange growing up in a town where everybody's white and everybody's the same kind of white.
Yeah, that would be weird. I mean, I couldn't imagine growing up and just all be black people. In fact, that's one of the things that my mom made sure is to keep me around different cultures, different types of people. So, you spend your mind that way. But so how did that make you feel as far as like just seeing your color everywhere?
Yeah, well, you don't really notice, at least for me. And to be clear, I mean, there were non-white folks. Yeah, like
Very, very.
very few. And not only did they stick out visually walking into the grocery store or whatever, but everybody knew who these families were. It was really only 2 or 3 families that were not white. They were black and from Africa and have moved there. And most in Lindstrom and everywhere in Minnesota, really,
Yeah.
there's a church, a Lutheran church. You throw a rock and you can hit one. So a lot of the folks who are not white who moved into the community did so with help from the church. So just on their first day, everybody knew who they were in excited anticipation for their arrival.
Oh, wow.
We're all really excited to welcome folks to our hometown. But I say that like it wasn't just all white folks, but I do remember kind of the first time realizing that like, oh, I'm white and that having some meaning. And at the same time, this is the 90s, right? So I watched Reading Rainbow nonstop. I wanted to be a writer. I loved reading, still do.
Yes, you do.
And the host, right, LeVar Burton, he's black.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know anything about where he's from. I know he looks different. He's got this long, cool dreadlock hair. Well, no, sorry, no, that was the guy from I'm the Box, my bad. Or
The Bucks. I've never heard of that either.
I know someone listening watched that.
Or maybe I did. I just don't. I can't recall at the moment. The '90s was so long ago.
It was. But no, LeVar Burton though, he still does, has such a inspirational way of inspiring reading, and so the thought of him looking different came secondary, but he highlighted stories across the globe that I never really would have heard otherwise, and so it was pretty early on, I thought, there's life that looks different, is different
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can, I mean, that's a beautiful thing in itself. But for me, um, that's important that you saw that because not everybody, experiences something like that and then think the way you thought, if you get what I'm saying. Um, Obviously from what we have seen in not just the current news, but
Mm.
our history of America. When it comes to your transition from, being in a small town and being around just all white folk pretty much, you transition from being in Lindstrom, Minnesota to what a lot of people would call, one of the more cultured cities in America. I think you know where I'm going here, and that's Chicago. Tell me about your experiences there. How did Chicago change you? You went to DePaul there. I'll let you kind of talk about that in more detail here.
Yeah, so I'll paint the picture because looking back and talking about it, it is kind of wild, right? So my birthday's in August. It's at the end of August, right? And so the summer after my senior year of high school, I'm 17 the whole time, right? And then I turn 18 on August 21st. 2 days later, I moved to Chicago and I never moved back home after that.
Yeah.
So I said I turned 18 and 2 days later I moved out. Never went back. I actually had to run up to the DMV after forgetting that I need to take a new ID photo for being 18. It was just like so chaotic getting me out the door. I moved in early. Chris, my stepdad, and my mom brought me. The first night, I stayed in a hotel with them. The second night, I stayed in my dorm while they stayed in a hotel. And then, of course, that third night, they went home. And after they hit the road and I'm sitting there kind of alone in my dorm, I thought, like, I was waiting to get scared or nervous. You get like, oh no. And I didn't. I was just like, baller, let's get out in the street.
Let's go. Let's get out of here. I'm good.
And when you get at DePaul in a school in a city, one of the things they give you, you get your CTA pass as part of your like tuition, so you get unlimited rides. So I had that puppy in my hand. And I'm like, I don't know where anything is, but they left and I got on the train just to go see what there was. And there's a lot to see
Yeah.
in Chicago.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure.
And one thing that anybody who has not been to Chicago might not understand, you will, when I say like Chicago is like one of the most segregated cities that I know of, and I think it has positive aspects actually. But we always think of segregation like colors only or whites only.
Like, yeah.
But not in the way I'm describing. It's segregated like there's cultural pockets depending on what neighborhood you're in. And it's isolated so that that culture is really unadulterated, right? There's like Ukrainian village and you go and you can get some Ukrainian food that tastes like, or I know,
Yeah.
it was from Ukraine. And same with Pilsen. It's, a lot of Mexican heritage and culture. So when you visit these places or hop off at different train stops, you're sort of getting a taste of that culture, not just in Chicago.
That is 100% correct. In fact, the first time I've been to Chicago, was with you, and I've heard a lot about Chicago. In fact, I was actually against going there. I remember going back and forth with you on, maybe I really don't want to go. But when I got there, because that's all you talked about, and so
Favorite city.
is one of your favorite or your favorite city. But for me, I like to get there and experience things. But when we got there, like even down to the way the train system works in that city is ridiculous to me. The thing that blew my mind the most was the fact that um that that big body of water was
Lake Michigan.
yeah, it was a lake. It's not the ocean. It's a lake.
It's huge.
It's huge, and the water is so crisp. I mean, it was beautiful. I'm pretty sure you remember what we did there, but went out there on the boat with Pop and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it was just a nice experience going to Chicago.
Definitely. And Lake Michigan, I could sit and talk to you for like 3 hours about cool fun facts about Chicago.
Yeah.
It's incredible the feats that city has undertaken to make the city what it is today. But Lake Michigan's super cool. Like I said, if folks haven't seen the Great Lakes, you see it, it looks like the ocean. You're on a boat in this lake, it feels like the ocean.
Yeah.
Like there's currents, there's whitecaps, there's all that. But then you hop in and you can open your eyes underwater and not water rip them out.
Yeah. Speaking of lakes, before we move on to our next segment here, how many lakes are in Minnesota?
So I have no idea.
I mean, just this the rough estimate. What's the fact on that? Or the
That's what I don't remember. I mean, well, there's a whole lot of man-made lakes now too, so I think the number is like insane, like 100,000 or something.
okay.
Well, but we're the land of 10,000.
10,000 lakes. That's what it was.
Hell of more. Even just in Lindstrom.
Yeah.
Anybody who's curious that's listening, Google Lindstrom, Minnesota, and you'll see there's more lake than land
Yeah.
in the town.
There it is. There it is.
I don't know. There's got to be a bajillion.
Yeah. Everybody has a boat there. Yeah, that's a very beautiful place in itself too. Uh, So, talking about your experience growing up, your experience in Chicago, we'll get to, once you went to JMU for your graduate program that you went into, but um, between growing up in Lindstrom, Minnesota, and Chicago, uh, what would you say shaped who you are today, uh, given your experiences and whatever you experienced in Chicago and back home?
Hmm. Well, being from a small town that I am, our family has roots there. My dad is one of five, uh, five, the Habels, and all of them were they're all
I love those.
freaking.
I love those people.
It's crazy. Every one of my aunts, my dad and my aunts and uncles, they all are outstanding at something.
Right.
If not multiple things, most of which are athletics. And that's really my dad and my aunt um built the Hable name off of athletics. My other aunts and uncles had their highlights too in a small town. So when I could talk about my aunt Linda all day, she was still a stellar athlete and was one of the first female athletes to really participate in school sports after Title IX was passed. Like when my aunt Jan, she couldn't participate in sports because it wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
It wasn't until Linda got in, and she kicked ass. She still kicks ass. She golfs from the men's box and wins every tournament. I'm not kidding. Like pickleball, like she picked something up and she just like excellent, right?
Yeah.
And that's how they've been their whole life. So when I got to school or kind of into the community, not only did my aunts and uncles and the Hable side kind of give a name, I had an older sister who went through the school system. She's 7 years older than I am. And so she kind of had a little bit of influence on what was expected of me too. So everywhere I went, people knew who I was even before I like walked in the room. My dad would like hit me up and say, "Oh, I heard you were at the Holiday, the gas station."
Yeah. No, dear.
I went up there for like a pop. Like, what are you talking about? I got eyes everywhere, and he's not kidding. Like, so That being said, there was a lot of pride instilled in me and about family. Like family is number one.
Right.
And with that, like you represent everybody in this family. So if you're gonna play sport, you better be good at it.
Right.
And if you're not, you better work harder. Uh, you better be smart and on some honor roll. And if you're not, you better study harder. And by the way, you should be doing all that and you should have a job. You're 14, so you should probably work.
Probably be working.
Right. So there's a lot of like positive influence and pressure there, but it also, you're kind of on the local Lindstrom stage as Claire Hable. Um, which I really have no complaints with, honestly. I mean, you couldn't really like fart in private and no one find out about it. You know, like that's how
That's crazy work.
it got around quick, whatever it was. So that kind of instilled in me those, work hard, study hard, be prideful, family's important, and also, walk with dignity because people are looking. And that sort of went away a bit when I got to Chicago because no one gives a flying what.
Everybody's, I mean, on that street we were on, we had went to the Nike store and
It's
there
State
was
Street.
the State Street, and
Magnificent Mile.
that reminds me of the movie, Will Smith movie. I don't know. I think he was in Chicago. I forget the name of the movie.
Hancock?
No, not Hancock. It was a very sentimental movie with his son. I think
Well, there's to the happiness.
after this,
We were in San
they
Francisco.
was San Francisco, but
And it's a
that one time with from the movie, that segment where he got the job and he was crying and it was just people walking around. That's what that reminds me of. People are just, the sidewalks are huge, so it's just people going to where they got to go, going both ways. So, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. I learned early on that while the norm is to not notice, and everybody's got somewhere to be, and there's a hustle and there's a bustle, um, that I didn't feel good about it. There's a lot of homeless people, unhoused individuals in Chicago.
Yeah.
Almost all of them have something, substance abuse issue, trauma, whatever, same as anywhere. And you see people literally stepping over
Yeah, it's so crazy.
people on the ground, and they don't even think to, you don't think about it because you got somewhere to be. You see that person every day; they're just there. And I had met a unhoused woman. Her name's Heidi from Minnesota, and she needed to use my phone for something, and I'm like, I'm a human being, like okay. And it turned out for the next 2 years, I sort of took care of Heidi. I would, they don't have closets. So every season, she needs different clothes, right? Well, fall would come, and winter, she had a coat last year, not now. So I would leave her these clothes. So sad though. And there was an alley. She had a lot of different spots, but this main joint, and she moved with me, which was kind of crazy because I lived at one spot, all kind of in the same neighborhood. But
Hey, where's Claire at? Where's Claire at?
she said, "Where are you sitting at now?" And I said, "Oh, over there." She said, "Oh, perfect. Okay, well, in that case, catch me in this alley over here." So I would leave her, whether it was food or, if it was going to be raining, I'd leave her an umbrella in a trash can behind the McDonald's on Lincoln, Halsted, and Fullerton. And I said, "Well, what if the garbage guys come and get rid of it?" She said, "No, no, no. I got it worked out. If there's a brick on top of the bin,
Oh,
they leave it." I was like,
it's clever bit.
yeah, I brought kind of those things from Lindstrom or growing up in a small community and the lessons you learn there, to Chicago. And then, gosh, there's so much I learned about myself in the world living there.
Yeah.
I was only there for the 4 years that I went to college, but I say, I was born and raised in Minnesota, but I grew up in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would agree with that because you're not like you're like people back home, but you're also not like them. And what I mean by that is you had that little hit to you now. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but one thing I said in season one, and I will say it again, is that if you don't know Claire, she is someone you should probably know. Oh, and I say that because down to even someone who was on the street homeless, she didn't know this lady from anybody. But yeah, she still sat there and did these type of things for this person. And this person, I'm pretty sure you changed their life for the better. And that's beautiful in its own way.
Last time I saw Heidi, she was waiting to be picked up by her dad to take her to rehab.
Yeah.
So, hope that worked out for you, Heidi.
Speaking of substance abuse, I'm gonna get into another segment here because um you mentioned substance abuse, right? But we're actually sitting in my substance abuse office where we have clients come and stuff like that. But to transition from that and also talk about some of the other activities or things that you experience in Chicago, but more pertaining to the youth. That's where I kind of want to lead to. Because you told me about situations that you've had to. I'll let you kind of talk about this more, but you talked about, or you told me that there's been times where you were walking on the street with the kid, the youth that he used to work with, and you're ducking. You're ducking bullets, though. And uh, tell me about those experiences and how that has either changed you or affected you in any type of way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the instance that you're talking about was one time. Every day that I walked around in the Inglewood community in Chicago, I felt safe. Ironically, I actually had a roommate at the time who was from the South Side, and I was kind of nervous that I got placed there because you don't go there. Like if you're not from there, like and that's not to say like you're scared, although you probably are, right? There's just not, there's nothing to go see down there. Well, it's kind of desolate, and that's part of the issue that the youth I was working with um had to wrestle with every day. So I spoke to my roommate. I'm like, "God, I'm a little nervous. Like, what? Any tips? Like, what do I do? What do I don't do?" And he said, "Claire, you're a white lady in the South Side of Chicago. No one is going to cut you. They're way too afraid."
Yeah.
He said, "If you're a white person on the South Side, you're probably fine. If you're a black person on the South Side, I might want to catch that train north because people are afraid of that the cops might actually care. Right? Something happened to a white girl." Uh, but Now that didn't make me really feel any better because there's in certain areas, and this isn't just Chicago, but anywhere in the world for that. But in certain areas, you kind of feel that here's in back here. Next stand up, you become more alert. And there was certainly some of that, but I really just felt for the kids that I worked with, and I was part of this program teaching at-risk youth skills that might be useful to them in the future pertaining to sustainability. So we built bikes, we maintained bikes, we built gardens, we maintained and harvested those gardens, all these things. Financial literacy and all those other things were part of it as well. So these kids that were at risk, either a family member or a known associate was affiliated, and the community at large is concerned that they would find themselves in a gang, and let's introduce new things now. So that's why I'm working with these kids, trying to teach them lessons. And you spend a lot of time with these kids, and I'm watching their life from a third perspective, baffled. Like how these students show up to school every day, period, is sometimes a miracle. Um, Sometimes coming to school, they have to take the extra long way because they can't walk through that part of town. And just witnessing, like, you hear about that, right? Like, but when you see it, someone's 5 minutes late to my class and I'm pissed because now I'm like, what? That's so and so who was at their grandma's last night because their mom's now in jail. So they had to take this train. And so you really have to be empathetic, even beyond what the world requires when it comes to working with youth in tough situations. And my heart melted a lot. There was one instance, like you mentioned, there was gunfire. We were in a neighborhood and we had two police officers sort of assigned to our pod to keep us safe. We'd be biking around the neighborhood and you see this little squadrons of guys just staring down one of the young men. Just intimidation. So the cops were there to really help us with that. And one day they said, we gotta go right now. We got someone rolling in, the like radio. And we're like, all right, get on the bikes. We're not getting on the bikes. We're walking the bikes. We're doing a whole procedure. And one of the cops was like, ditch that, go hide.
Mhm.
And so I'm in charge. I'm like, go students. And by the way, they already knew, right? This is old hat for them. They're like, oh, okay, well, duh,
And
And I'm like, oh my God,
right, freaking out.
I count everything. And so I'm too busy trying to look around at what's going on. And this car is approaching. And one of the students, huge kid, was like, Miss Claire, like tackled me to the ground. And it was fine. There were shots fired and they were fired near us. Not not directly at us, right? But it was a scare tactic.
Yeah.
They knew which kid. Mind you, these kids are 15, 14, 15 years old. But they had to put together a whole hoop-de-loo just to scare this 14-year-old who's already shitting himself every day.
Yeah, that's so crazy to me. Well, that's a different experience. Not everybody experiences stuff like that, and so I commend you for, first of all, uh, being in that type of situation, but at the same time, you had a different goal in mind, and it sounded to me like you cared about the youth.
Mm.
Despite their environment, you still was there to help them. So that leads me to my next question. Just off the top of my head, how do you think you influenced those kids? How do you think they saw you? Whether it be positively, neutral, negatively, how do you think you influenced them?
Yeah. I think in all three ways, I probably influenced them. On the one hand, on the positive side, actually, no, I'll start like on the neutral side. Mind you, some of these kids were like 17, 18, but juniors in high school. And I was 19, 20 my first year. So I feel like maybe sometimes they're like, they got paid, by the way, for their time with us. So it was a job. Like, I feel like some of them showed up and they're like, this lady is basically my age. She's acting like my boss, tell me what to do, but I'm showing up to get paid. Fine. That's actually part of the goal of the program.
Yeah. So that's the neutral.
Neutral. And then I actually had a really awful personal, like inside myself. It was an awful experience because we, as a group, you sort of did these things throughout the day. You might go to this farm or you might stop and talk to this person. But when you have nothing to do, there's sort of a list of like, when in doubt, do one of these things. And one of them was to clean the trash out of an empty lot nearby the school. So I'm like, all right, let's go. Kids are pissed. It's hot. It's Chicago in the summertime. It's terrible, especially when it's outside. And they want to be there. And I'm like, all right, here's how we do it. Everyone get in the line and we march across the lot and we pick up the trash on the way. So I'm standing there making sure everybody's kind of in line. These kids aren't picking up anything. They're pissed. I'm like, guys, you gotta do it. If you see something, you gotta bend over and get the trash. That's why we're here. And I'm just like yelling at them, like, I'm annoyed. I don't want to be here either. And the kids just didn't listen. They were pissed. Next day, I got called in to talk to administration because they said I was running that shit like a slave driver. And I offended all the students. And there is adult mentors too from the South Side there to help more on the emotional side. And they complained saying that I was, acting like I was in charge of my own people. Like I had the right to tell them what to do and that I was acting like a slave owner. And I was just like, I felt so stupid. I felt really misunderstood. I felt like hurt because my intentions were, I felt so pure and like, and I knew like how I grew up with my dad. My dad's a dad that like for punishment one time I had to get all the snow out of the driveway by hand. And he was sitting there drinking a warm cup of coffee going, you missed a spot. You're right.
Bro, that's a little excessive.
Hey, that's just like what it was. Or like, not even on punishment, but if I'm like doing something, dad's like, do it better. So I'm instructing or being a leader in the way that I knew how, which was do better, like, you missed a spot. What? So I was just felt all sorts of icky. And then I had to talk about how I'm a racist.
Yeah.
And I think there was probably some truth to that because I was so ignorant to how that might have looked and sounded and felt to those kids. But it's in typical fashion as a white person. It hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Big. Like, I was really hurt,
So, well,
negatively. That's
so before you continue, just want to kind of correct you there. And I said, I have to say this because obviously you're not racist,
right.
right? But there's two things that came to my mind when it comes to talking about misunderstanding, because that happens to me, in fact, a lot. And what I have continued to learn and understand is that not everybody learns the same. And so to me, that sounded like not racism. To me, that sounded like you were putting off which the way you learned and not tailoring it to the different types of kids who you have around, or not seeing the bigger picture there, that what it may look like to someone else,
Right.
So
Well, and they call it, it's like passive racism, right? It's not an action that was racist there. It was my ignorance at that point.
so yeah, that is a form of racism, I guess you could say that. But
And I'm not going to accept that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
But positively,
yeah. What's the positive? Let's talk about the positive.
I got two really good positives. One of the gals, and I'm trying not to use names. I hope it doesn't sound too like aloof, but my stories. But one of the gals I worked with had a really just terrible home life, and her mom went missing. Like, she lived with her mom and her mom's boyfriend, who was this skeezy guy. And the mom went missing, and she saw the skeezy guy like beat the mom and put her in a trunk and leave. Well, and this girl is 15 years old at home, not knowing what to do, and it's been like days. And she called the cops. They don't give a crap. So she showed up every day on time, like, really quiet. And I asked her, like, "Are you okay?" She told me what was going on.
Her mom was in the truck this entire time.
They don't know her, but the boyfriend beat her up, put her in a trunk, and drove off. And I still don't know if they ever
Oh,
came.
that's so.
And she really had nowhere to go, and she didn't want anybody to know because she didn't want Child Protective Services to come get her and make her go to a foster.
Yeah. Well, your mom's missing. I think you don't have an option at this point.
So we had to try to figure and work with our police who knew were sensitive to these things. And it was just a whole thing. But during that time in the program, we had already built this garden bed with the wood, and they got to use nail guns. And this girl actually was like hype about it. She was like, can I do the nail gun again? I feel powerful. And I did at that time, I didn't know, but it's kind of amazing. Like, that made her feel powerful. And then flash forward to her planting these plants, and I just watched her sit so delicately plant these seedlings, and she just looked at peace. She was just mindless. I mean, who knows what was going on in there, but her body was relaxed. She seemed at peace. And when we got up to go do something else, you could see it back on her face, the wear and tear of the stresses of her life. But for a minute,
Yeah.
I got to facilitate an outlet of peace for her, and that's really positive.
Yeah. You get.
The people had called for, like, I got to be job references for other people too.
Yeah, that's also positive. Talking about that little girl though, that you gave her a coping skill. That's what we would call it in the mental health
Yeah.
sector. So, um, I'm pretty sure she probably still does stuff like that to keep her, with her experience, her trauma that she went through. Yeah, I hope so. Because that's beautiful. I want to talk about you being at the MU. You getting your graduate degree. Talk about a little bit about that, how your experience was at JMU, what it was like to move from Chicago to Virginia. Talk a little bit about this.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Um, you start at the top. I've told you this story a billion times, but I can't think of it and not giggle like that. I left Chicago with my stepdad, like, truly an MVP, by the way, making sure I got, and still, I get to where I need to go. And he showed up, packed up that U-Haul with me, and we hit the road from Chicago, headed out to JMU. Never been to Virginia in my life at that point. I'd gone to DC once for like a school trip, but I was up in DC. I'm like, never been there, but I got an opportunity to get my master's for free. I was teaching and researching, and a student at JMU, which enabled me to get my education for free. So obviously, you got to go. But we stopped somewhere.
that's smart.
I tried. Hey, student loans, man.
Yeah.
It's anything but that. Um, I got up in the morning. We stopped somewhere along the way, probably in Pennsylvania. And we get up early, early. It's still dark. Chris is driving this U-Haul. We're like nearing Harrisonburg. I'm asleep, and Chris kind of whaps me. He's like, "Hey, kid, wake up. Welcome to your new home." I'm like, "Huh?" I open my eyes, and there's this hill, and people from the area know. You guys, I was telling you, you're like, "Oh, yeah, you know." There's this, like, hill. There's 3 crosses on the hill, right? And the sun's shining behind it, and I'm like, "Okay, Bible Belt." Like, I expected that.
But
I'm a Christian, so I'm not, like, shook, right? Little excessive maybe, but alright. And then there's this Confederate flag next to it flying high, and this thing is, like, the size of a half football field, just majestically flowing in the wind.
welcome to Virginia.
I am absolutely shook, and oh my god. I thought, like, but I don't know what I actually don't even know what I thought. I was just shook, and I got into little Harrisonburg, moved in Chris and I moved myself in, my mom flew in afterwards, kinda set my apartment and everything. I got a car down there because of course, I didn't have a car in Chicago, so I got a car. Parents left, I'm just sitting in my apartment, no one's really in there. You had 2 roommates, they weren't in yet, and it's quiet, and I hated it. I was still smoking cigarettes at the time too, so I would, like, go out onto the balcony, and I'm just listening and watching the stoplight go from green, yellow, red.
That's not loud enough. It's not loud enough there.
It just wasn't a lot going
I
on,
would know. Yeah.
but I learned to love that, especially being in graduate school. JMU's, I guess, I don't really know, but I've heard undergraduate, it's known for being a pretty good school. Sport culture is huge. Party culture is fun. And Harrisonburg's a great little college town. But for grad students, you're unaware of any of that. Like, you're nose to the grindstone for 2 years straight, teaching 18-year-olds from New Jersey about how to have an open mind when meeting someone who looks differently than them. And they want to do everything to tell you you're wrong.
But of course,
Yeah, so it's
you know
challenging.
everything ain't safe.
I read back in the day, there was this site called Rate My Professor, and I used to use it all the time. I'm like, who do I want to teach me this class? Well, we would look back, all of us grad students look back at what the students said about us on there. And everything, it was just like an absolute true reflection of what the reality was. Like, Claire cancels class a lot, which I'm like, who are you complaining? It's a Friday morning class. I don't want to get cancels class a lot, can be late, or, like, kinda hard to get a hold of sometimes. All those things I'd like to work on myself, but very true. And then the others were like, "She's so much fun, so engaging. I've never understood the text as well as she explained it. She always has music in the room." So all these positive things. And I got some chili peppers.
Uh,
So, you know what that means?
no. What does that
It
mean?
means the students think you're hot.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got you. Yeah. And
I was mortified. I was like, "Oh, no."
yeah, you not. You not. I see you.
I'm like, over the course of 2 years, slowly my class is more boys than girls.
Right. Y'all here, but wrong.
And then I graded their papers and they're like, yeah. But yeah, it was a lot. I was in a relationship with someone at the time living there, and that kind of shaped a lot of my experience in Harrisonburg too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it was positive, a lot of it wasn't, but being able to integrate into the Harrisonburg community outside of grad school, and then after I graduated was its own experience too. I mean, the Valley is a strong community, and it was great to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's dope. I have the experience of playing against JMU. Back when I was playing college basketball. Um.
I didn't realize that they crossed.
Oh yeah, yeah. We thought, yeah, we were. I don't know what conference they're in now, but when I believe Delaware is still in the CAA. I don't know if JMU has left and gone to the A10. I know a lot of teams left and went to the A10. I know VCU did.
I think DePaul did too.
But yeah, but DePaul wasn't in the CAA. I don't know what. Yeah. But with that being said, yeah, DePaul. I don't know if DePaul is in the A10 now. But long story short, yeah, we did play JMU. I remember going down there to play a lot. And then they came to us a couple times. So
It's gorgeous in there.
yeah, it is. It's very, very gorgeous.
My best friend Sambo lives there too, so he still has ties. So I have, we have reasons to go back.
Right.
I was just graduated with my master's, and I was working at the co-op there for a long time before I got traction on finding a job. I had an internship with National Park Service, an internship with the city of Charlottesville, worked for a landscaping company as their communication strategist. Um, had a lot of moving parts, just trying to find out, like, how do I make some money using all the things I know?
Right. And what I went to school for.
Yeah.
That stuff. Yeah. Well, transitioning into the global aspect of things, because not a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people know this about you. First of all, when did you go overseas? Where did you go overseas? And how did that kind of impact you? And what do you think? I know this is a lot of questions there, but what did you think you left with them?
Okay. Okay. Well, there was two places I went out of the country in college at DePaul. The first place, the first place I went was Ghana, into a really small community southeast of Accra. I don't even know if I ever knew the name of the community, honestly. I don't remember if I did. The purpose of us being there was to provide medical relief. It was malaria season. Which is just like wet season, right? When mosquitoes are prevalent. And folks who die from malaria, which are oftentimes kids. I don't know what the statistic is now, but it was like one of the number one killers of kids across the globe. The reason that they die, though, is because there's no access to medication. There's tons of ways that you can prevent and treat malaria if you have access to meds. So our purpose was to get in there, provide the meds, and then while we're there, do other things like provide dental checkups, provide uh, pap smears and things for the women. And I could talk to you. I have spoken to you about all those experiences working as a medical professional, which I am not and was not.
Right.
And how unsettling it really made me feel. I grew up in the church in Lindstrom, Faith Department Church. We would go on mission trips, fixing houses. We would go to Native American reservations and kind of just immerse ourselves and be helpful. So I was like, I know how this works. I love doing it in service of love and God. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna just give back. I was not prepared, not for the magnitude of like so-called poverty, right? Because these folks didn't have a lot of stuff. They didn't seem to mind, and I was ready for that. What I wasn't ready for was how insensitive the in-country medical staff were. We hired Ghanaian doctors to actually advise us because all of us were like in college and not med students. So we needed actual doctors to help. And so we hired these two Ghanaian doctors who were doing the examinations on women. And this guy, this male doctor, had these women come in. Mind you, none of them have seen white people before. Most of them. Never seen a doctor before. And has never had anybody been in and around this region besides their husband. So they come in, and the doctor's telling them in Fanti, their language, like, lay down, spread your legs. And these girls are like, 17, 18, they look terrified, as you would. And so I say to the doctor, like, could you explain to her in Fanti what you're doing? Because I just think if she knew, she could calm down. You could just feel it.
Yeah, right.
And he said, she's fine. Spread her legs open.
No.
I'm like, these poor women are never going to seek medical help ever again if it's available. No, I wouldn't.
Oh.
And they were using instruments that didn't appear to be sanitized to me. most of the women had some kind of infection, whether it was BD or yeast infection. And they're using the speculum, dropping it in a bucket of ammonia, and then pulling it out and using it on the next woman and not cleaning the tape. All these things I'm thinking, we're a doctor.
Yeah, what is going on here?
And did not care. I did get to tell a woman that she was pregnant, but we had a portable sonogram. And I said, I showed her. I don't speak. I'm like, and she was pissed.
She was mad.
I was like her umpteenth child and how long. And she was like, are you joking me? And I don't know. There's a ton of crazy experiences. And I talk about like, some of the more vulnerable reflections that I had. We administered a lot of people had malaria. A lot of the kids did. So we gave them all their medication, her pills. So gave them like a Ziploc baggie. Here's the pills, 2 a day for how many days, whatever. We'll be back in a few days. You're okay. So we come back and I was so irate. And mind you, we're on malaria prevention meds, which can be really, they mess with your head. And so I'm just like irritable anyway. And we go to check on some of these families and they're not following protocol, right? Where you have to give these pills. It's like antibiotics. That's what it is. If you don't take it, not only are you not going to get better, you're making yourself worse.
Right.
And I'm pissed. I'm like, did you not listen? Because I know he explained it in Fonty to you.
Right.
Why are you not listening? Do you not get it? And our interpreter was like, no, they don't. They were trying to make it last. And I just felt like an idiot.
Yeah.
Still pissed, right?
Right.
And then I feel like even more of an idiot because as we're leaving, I'm like, I can take that because the Ziploc baggie. And the woman wouldn't let go. And I was like, it's okay. I can take that. And my interpreter was like, she's wondering if she can keep it because she wants to use it. And in my head, I'm like, this is trash. And I don't know what she wants to use it for, but silly me for not thinking that maybe they want to use it. So I have no, I still have dreams sometimes of what we saw there. They thought we were doctors for real. So there was this guy, we're doing home visits, and this guy comes running out, flagging us down, screaming Infanti something, and our interpreter is like, he wants to show you something? I didn't really get that, but let's walk over there and see. And he comes out of their home holding this child who's probably like 9 or 10 years old, a boy, holding him under his leg, under his arm, because he had been born with, forget the name of it. His legs are growing backwards. It's like it's cut. It's known as like snail disease or something. Has like the street name. His legs are literally backwards and it's painful as hell for him. No one can help him. And they are pleading with us, the doctors, to fix him. Kids screaming, like,
The whole time.
in pain. Like, there's a difference in a scream between like a baby crying
Manageable or, yeah.
and he was just in excruciating pain. I couldn't do the damn thing.
That's crazy.
That was tough.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, I could talk. There's so many things. I don't even know if I should get into the leprosy. I saw someone that had leprosy.
Yeah, wow.
That's the certain suit of that.
Yeah. And, I mean, in case you don't know what leprosy is, I'll let you kind of explain that. We will get into it, I guess. What does that look like? What is leprosy?
Leprosy is a biblical. Jesus hung out with the whores, tax man, and the lepers.
And the leopards.
Lepers.
The leopards, whatever you
Basically, I don't even I'm gonna botch what it is technically, but really it's like a flesh-eating fungus that eats your skin and flesh. Long.
Yeah.
And it's highly contagious. And there is a known leper colony in Ghana, at least at the time, that was like not that far from where we were, like a handful of hours.
Yeah.
And this guy, I'll try to make it quick. This guy comes limping up the street, sits down, waits in line, and everything. And I say, "Potros, word I remember from Fonzie. It's next. And he comes, and my interpreter was like, immediately step back, and he's like, has leprosy. He knows it. He was hours away, walked there because he heard there was a medical support team, and he came for help.
Yeah, we can't help you though, sir.
Cannot help you. And so while he's there, though, the doctor is like, well, we could make sure that he's okay as he is now. Okay. And they're like, come in here with us. I'm like, okay. And they have the leper, me, my interpreter, and the two doctors, the only two doctors in the place, but they're both in there because it's a big deal, even for them. Like,
Yeah, right.
so they're looking, and they're like, the guy had just got leprosy and, or had just got diagnosed. And so they're like, where is it? Mind you, this is all like, they're saying it. My interpreter's telling me after the fact, right? So like, where is it? Okay, put your foot up here. So his foot had been the infected part that gave it away. So he puts his foot up on bed, and the one doctor takes one of those like popsicle stick things and punches the heel, and his whole heel fell off,
That's crazy.
like sloughed off, like, and hit out the ground, and he's got no heel now, and it's black. Like, it's not bloody or anything. It's just a big black hole of dead flesh where the squishy heel
Yeah.
fell off. And I'm looking at Francis, was my interpreter.
Yeah.
Me and Francis are looking at each other like,
Oh, what's this going on? Is this real?
they like, don't grow up, because then I'm gonna have to clean that up too. The doctors are like, sorry, and leave the room.
Looks like
So it's me, Francis, and the leper.
Yeah.
It's all take a bad day.
And the heel.
And the heel. And Francis has to like gently explain, not his job at all. His job is to interpret. Poor guy. He had to explain to him, we can't help you. You actually have to leave immediately because you have leprosy, sir. You gotta go. So, and so he leaves, and it was the saddest shit ever.
Yeah. Because he probably passed away not too long after that.
Right. Hopefully he lived a good, fun life in the leper colony. I don't know. But I watched it.
So did they not die?
They do.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah, short election.
yeah, the infection one. I watched him, not all because he walked all the way there, and then his heel fell off.
Yeah, and then he walked off.
As I just walked off into the sunset, dipping with no heel.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, so then I'm in this room. Leper's left, but it's me, Francis, and the heel. And I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Francis asked the doctor, like, what should we do with this? Like, did you have biohazard bag? Or did we have that over?
Yeah, sweep it up.
Party, I kid you not. The doctor said, throw it out back. The goats will eat it.
Come on, bro. No way.
So I had just a piece of paper and then like a sterile glove, and I went out.
The one that put it out there to the goats.
And I threw it out, and the goats came running.
That's disgusting.
Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, what are we gonna do? We're gonna switch topics here.
I also went to Mexico City, which is not as
That's crazy.
Yeah, not as crazy. The gist of going there, I was studying some sustainability practices through a program at DePaul. The main thing that I was interested in was studying rainwater harvesting. Mexico City is a bowl. It has very little water. They lose water all the time. It's drying up. So oftentimes people will have maybe a couple seconds of water in there. Once a week you get 5 minutes. So a lot of the folks who live on the outskirts, on the upper parts of the bowl, the ghetto, they collect rainwater on their roofs or in cisterns on the ground, and that's their water source. And if it doesn't rain, they don't have water.
Wow.
I mean, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Like engineering principles, community. I learned a ton. In Mexico City was a life-changing experience. I don't really speak Spanish now. I can, when we were in Mexico, I can kind of Spanglish.
Yeah, right.
When I was in Mexico City, though, I was speaking Spanish with people. It's crazy how you adapt to language when you're in it. It was amazing. My friend and I just perused the whole city, acting like we were from DFA and didn't think twice about anything. We went off to some soccer game at midnight. Mexico City is supposed to be a really dangerous city too.
Yeah, yeah, and I've always said this, Claire's the type of person that likes to engage in things that she probably shouldn't be, or
Weird.
environments that she probably shouldn't, but for whatever reason, the smallest white girl there, she's the most safe for whatever reason. I don't get it.
I don't know. It felt different in Mexico City. Like there was this looming "we're being watched" she's saying all the time era, and that was true. I saw my friend and I who were there bought weed off a guy in the park, and we went into the mall to do the exchange. And my friend went in to do the exchange, and I'm standing there. I'm like, she got about 30 seconds before I caught someone. And they get out, it's fine. We go out to leave the same way we came in. You can't come out this way. Why? Oh, the cartel dropped a head off on the stairs.
Oh,
You're gonna have to go around.
that's crazy. Well,
What?
well, you are in Mexico City.
And they're like, yeah, it's fine. It'll be cleaned up soon.
Hey, it sounds to me like that's just normal life there. But you mentioned rainwater earlier. I don't want to get off topic here, but that reminds me of that guy who got locked up for 30 days and said he was still.
From the municipality.
Yeah. I guess my last question pertains to global experiences. What would you say you took from that? You know, how did it change you? What did you take from that experience from going to Ghana and Mexico City?
Hmm. So there were two very different experiences. For obvious reasons, like they're on different continents for one. I was a different age and had different experience. Um, but I think in going to Ghana first and seeing the things I did and having to come to terms with how I felt about them was a benefit. Like I was shook. Uh, like I said, I had done a lot of different. I helped a lot of different communities in church, and I was sort of expecting that similar experience where you go, everyone's so happy you're there. They celebrate when you leave with a big thank you, and you feel good about yourself when you're headed home. Like
I say I also survived.
but I didn't really feel that way when I left Ghana. I felt like certainly I was able to help some people. I felt sickened at how many people we couldn't help that wanted our help. And then I felt sickened by how audacious we were thinking that they needed our help. And in some practical ways, it's like, well, yeah, I had to literally smuggle malaria medication through customs in, right? Like that's how they got their medication is because I did it. And I don't say that to say like, go me, but in some ways, like, yes, we went, we helped, and that was the point. But in other ways, we showed up and demanded they let us help. And I don't know how I felt about that.
Well,
Um,
yeah, that's like somebody coming to into your home that you don't know and saying, "Hey, I'm here to help you. You either gonna take it or leave it." Type of thing.
and you might not be saying it, but it's coming off as you're so dumb you don't know. Let me help you. And who knows? I don't know how the community really felt there. Everyone was so gracious and kind, but I just didn't feel like,
That's right with you.
yeah, I don't think I would go on another mission trip or purpose driven trip to another country unless that community said, please, someone come here and help.
Not forcefully.
Right. And in some ways, talking about the reuse of the speculum and the poor practices that a doctor, did we do more harm than good?
Exactly.
And I don't know how to answer that. It still doesn't sit right.
Yeah, like the leprechaun. I mean,
You know,
the heel fell off, and then you made him walk back to his. But that's shit that he's doing. The doctors was doing opposite there. It sounds like.
no, don't. We've traumatized an entire group of young women who will now probably never see a doctor again, even if they really need it. So having to deal with that and then going into a place like Mexico City where it wasn't mission work, we weren't going to help, we were going to learn. And then if I think of those two experiences together, it changed me in so much as it taught me when you go into a community, invited or otherwise, right? If you just find yourself there, the only way you can help, if you want to help, is to be a listener and to be a part of the community, not someone there with an outside role.
Right. That makes sense.
It wasn't until in Mexico City that I got so sunburnt, man. I don't really burn usually. Ooh, it was bright red. I'm peeling sheets off, but it wasn't until I was sat up on that rooftop in Mexico City for 4 hours listening to someone talk about why they needed this water and sharing their story that I felt like I've now learned and now I can help this woman because I know really what she needs. She's asking us to help her put this together.
Right.
I didn't show up with gallons of water because she was thirsty. Right? So I think those two experiences together taught me you don't get to be a part of a community. Um, you are invited in.
Right.
And your role is to not change that community, but to listen to what they need.
Yeah. So that's well, first of all, thanks for explaining that. But that reminds me of what we're currently watching on Hulu, Pole to Pole, by Will Smith. If you haven't checked it out, you should check it out.
Very good idea.
Yeah, it's pretty like it's like experiences that he is living, and he goes on different trips and stuff like that just to experience the different cultures, different ways of living, and the most extreme, I would say, extreme environments. The
Yeah.
pole, the South Pole, the
Papua
equator.
New Guinea.
Yeah, it's crazy. Definitely check it out. But this is what this reminds me of, and for someone to, especially at a young age, for someone to experience stuff like that, it's kind of dope.
Yeah, I think so. Wait, Mandela.
Yeah, you definitely did. Shout out to DePaul for setting that up for you.
Yeah, shout out to Paul.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, next segment here, and then we'll close here shortly. But let's talk about, your transition from being at JMU to now, moving closer to me. Um, what did you do? What job did you acquire? What happened between you living down there in Harrisonburg, uh, JMU area, in Charlottesville too? Um, then transitioning from Charlottesville up into Richmond.
I thought you wanted to wrap this up soon. That's a lot of years, buddy.
I know, but try to get.
So I moved from Harrisonburg to Charlottesville because I got a full-time position and an intern, a full-time internship with the city of Charlottesville, working in the Office of Environmental Sustainability under my now friend, Susan Elliott. And I was creative enough and outspoken enough to say, like, I think there needs to be some overlap between this department and the communications department. The communications department in any municipality is kind of like the right hand man of the mayor and like the elected official decision makers. The communications division is like their mouthpiece, literally, right? So it's kind of a big position or a big arena to be in a locality and a local municipality. And so I said, that's what I want. In doing that, I got to be in the Emergency Management Control Center on the first anniversary of the August 12th, what we call it, riots in Charlottesville.
Okay.
Got to monitor the dark web and everything crazy. I went after a communications full-time, not internship, full-time position in the communications department. I was not given the job and everybody was pissed. The person who got the job was a young woman of color, which I was jazzed about, but I felt like I got screwed. I had literally worked there for a year, had all the experience that they wanted, but they said I didn't have. But when this young woman got the job, I was like, you know what? If not me, then her. I'm happy. only to later find out that she didn't have the same qualifications as me, and I was pissed.
Yeah.
It felt like an optic choice for the communications division in the city that has this racial issue going on.
Right.
And it's no shade to this. I don't even know this girl. So I was not offered the position, the communications position, wound up working at a nonprofit in Charlottesville for 3 or 4 years in various positions, moving up. In that nonprofit, I was working with a bunch of businesses, helping them become more sustainable and obtain clean energy by trying to get what we call a power purchase agreement in clean energy. It's basically like you're signing a contract that promises you're going to buy the power from this renewable energy source for X number of years, which gives that renewable energy source kind of like the guarantee that the money's going to come.
Okay.
So it's a contractual relationship between the off taker and the producer. And that's a crazy process. I'm like, all these words, all these things. This is amazing. And then I found out that you can actually do that for a job.
Right.
So I decided to, with no experience in that sector at all, I applied for a job as a project developer for a solar company, doing small scale solar. So anywhere from 25 to 40 acres, anywhere from 2 to 5 megawatts of power. I thought, well, I'll just give it a go and they'll tell me all the things I need to be better at and I'll even be considered. And then they hired me. So
And then I heard.
then they hired me. I thought, do that. Let me not say anything. I don't want them to know. Uh, and part of getting hired there was that they thought it would be best. It was a fully remote position, but they thought it would be best if I was located in Richmond to be more central for all the locations I needed to be.
Mhm.
Plus, Charlottesville was just literally, if I didn't have the new job at the solar gig, I was going to move to Richmond anyways because I could not find any single place in Charlottesville that I could afford to live in.
Yeah. I remember when you were going through this process. In fact, during your final interview stage, your mom had came into town. That was the first time I met your mom. And we went to lunch over at
City Beach.
City Beach. Yep, right there on I forget the name of the street, but right down there in
Clairety.
Carrie Town and the fan. And I remember you being very anxious about this situation. But don't break my stuff now.
We're kind of beating us up the whole time.
I know. It's kind of I actually need to buy a new table. But anyways, I remember you being kind of, you know, you didn't know if you was going to get the job or not. But one thing that me and your mom both agreed on, this is when we first started dating, like, early on in our relationship. And I was like, if there's anybody that's going to get the job, it's going to be her. You know?
Right.
So I'll believe her in everybody. That's the whole purpose of why I'm doing this. One of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast is to encourage people. But when it comes to Claire, even that early on, I knew that you were perfect. Yeah, I knew.
You knew, I didn't know.
Yeah, but your mom knew too, though, and that was just confirmation from what I already knew. And vice versa, probably for her too. But so last question here, or moving into the last segment of the last questions. Talking about what you're currently doing. What drew you to yoga? I know you have an experience and history with that, but what drew you to yoga, and where are you currently taking that?
Okay. Well, I no longer have the job, the renewable energy job that I moved to Richmond for. I was laid off back in July. So I kind of sitting in this space of opportunity, having some financial security, a little savings for the first time ever, and some space to like understand myself more and do something that I've never been able to do. And I said, well, I have all this time. I'm going to get my yoga certification. Um, and I wanted to do that because I want to teach yoga. I think for me, I find yoga to be one of the only things that makes the two parts of myself feel closest. And those two parts are like the body and like the muscles on the outside and how I move, but then everything going on inside. I don't know. I don't think a lot of people feel this way. It's part of, I think, being diagnosed with depression is the sense of like detachment. Like really sometimes feeling on autopilot. My body's moving, but my mind is somewhere else. Like not daydreaming, it's just like watching me. I'm like a passive participant in my life. And doing yoga is an exercise of letting your mind take the driver's seat in the body and connecting those two selves by using your breath. So you're breathing intentionally with your body.
But,
And it's been powerful for me, both physically and mentally.
yeah. And I kind of want to, I feel as though I want to elaborate on that because I feel as though you've already known this niche, right? Because before we started dating, went on your Instagram, was kind of stalking you, and you already had like videos or photos of you on there doing yoga. So it was already your niche, but you had sounds to me like you had refound that niche, and you've also added to that niche, and
Mhm.
that addition is the physical strength or physical activities part of it of going to the gym.
Yeah.
Uh, but when speaking on that, I just want to highlight the importance of that because when talking about coping skills, coping mechanisms, feeling better, I talk about that in season one, eating better, moving your body, stuff like that. But finding that niche, whether that be going to the gym, whether that be engaging into yoga, stretching, whatever the case may be, is very important, not just for the physical part of it, but for the mental.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's there's some what am I trying to say? Like there people often confuse the practice of yoga with a type of religion or philosophy. And while yoga is both those things too, there's also this more scientific anatomy
Right.
understanding of yoga. And this is so cool. We talked about it today in the class. When you're doing yoga and connecting your breath to your movement, and you're doing certain poses with the toe flexed or pointed all throughout your whole sequencing, what you're doing is you're regulating your nervous system. And at the end of almost every yoga practice, there should be the shavasana. You lie down and there's a meditation period, and you can feel your body buzz in that moment, right? It's just been doing all these things. You're neurologically hitting that reset. So when you sit down and be still, you kind of feel every piece of you alive.
Right.
You feel that humming inside your body. And today they talked about the reason why yoga as a physical practice is a part of some religions is because regulating your nervous system like that and then bringing it down to a calm opens your heart and mind to receive the word of God.
Yeah.
And if that alone is it, I mean, there's tons of reasons to love yoga, but I guess those are the two that really are meaningful to me.
Yeah. Speaking of the buzzing, I'm just gonna make a quick joke here. I actually took a class with her this morning, a beginner's class. I did yoga in college, playing college basketball, and then I actually did yoga with a young lady. I'm not gonna say her name, but I used to work with her over at a school called EDC, uh, and so I actually did that for quite some time, for probably about a year, and I just felt better. But the joke I was gonna make is I didn't feel no buzzing this morning, and if I did, it was more so of my joints and my muscles buzzing. But yeah, that class was actually, um, it was liberating for one, and then it was also, uh, just mind opening. Like there's other things Josh says you can do to help other than just lifting, picking up weights and putting them back down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a different kind of strength too, huh?
yeah, it is. It is. I was in there sweating.
Yeah.
I was struggling the most. The strongest and the biggest in there
Yeah.
struggling the most.
It's crazy. I'm glad I've been going to the gym and building my muscle. That helps me. But in a lot of ways, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
system.
There's only one way of that little muscle that you're holding there for that little bit of time. There's only one way of focusing on it.
Right.
That's actually doing it.
And
You know?
one of my favorite things that happens, and we can do this now even too, and anybody who's listening can't, because this is just amazing. When we talk about these yoga poses and like you can cue somebody on how to make the shape of their body by saying like move your left leg forward as your left leg drops or left knee drops to the mat and put your forearm here, right? But then there's other cues that we talk about energetically push the floor away or energetically lift. So if you just sit still and you think energetically lifting the crown of my head upward, like maybe your body physically moves a little,
Right.
but it's probably not. But you're going to feel different when you do that. Like the energetic shifts of your focus um, play a huge role in getting these shapes and poses right, which is why having big biceps and big quads and things, sure, can be a little helpful, but it's still going to be challenging because you need to be able to control your energetic.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. And you just talk a whole bunch of foreign language to me, but well,
What's the foreign language?
I mean, not foreign language. I'm gonna put it into more simple terms, how I would say it, and that's more so of what I was sweating earlier. I was like, what if I was skinnier, or if I didn't have this big muscle on the side of my shoulder, it might be easier. I don't know if that's what you're getting at, but that's what it sounded like to me.
I'm just saying that the muscles that you have and you can see are not the muscles doing the work
Correct.
in these poses.
Exactly.
It's those deep muscles.
Yeah.
So in some ways, sure, like I can do crow pretty easily. Put my hands down, lift my feet up on my elbows because I have more strength up here.
Yeah.
But even if I had less strength muscle wise, I could still do the pose and probably with ease. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just something that feels so good and that I want to be able to teach others and guide others. Years ago, Sabo and I went on a little camping trip with my roommate at the time. And we were, vibing out on the campsite and we are like, wouldn't it be nice to do yoga right now? Everyone said, yeah. So I led Sabo and the roommate through some seeds. I had no idea what I was doing.
Well, yeah.
But it felt right.
It felt right.
Like I just explained to them what I was doing and they liked it. And I felt really empowered by sharing what I know.
Yeah, yeah, and that's beautiful because that's what each human should be doing.
Yeah.
It takes in order to help others, you gotta let them know what you're doing right. And that's one thing I'm big on as you have grown to see, or been just being around me for a decent amount of time now. I'm all about that, helping the next person. Uh, so what do you plan on doing with this yoga situation? Do you plan to open up a business perhaps? The do you plan to, get some more hours at a studio? What is your plans with this yoga situation?
All the above.
All the above. Alright.
Yeah, I've been exploring getting teaching experience and making a living or somewhat of a living teaching yoga at the studio or gyms or wherever. Ultimately, I don't think that's where I want to end up full time. I like to open, or rather, I mean, the business is open.
Yeah.
The LLC is 3 hours.
Yep.
But I'd like to bring into actuality the business that we own, which is the Thalo Green Retreat. Um, the concepts of Thalo Green is sort of outdoor wellness. It's an outdoor wellness space, including thermal immersions. So you get hot tubs, cold tubs, and saunas, yoga that I'll be teaching. And this term I've coined called rural relaxation. So think like picnic areas, hammocks, places to read, places to meditate, whatever. Uh, all those things together, creating a community of folks that come to the green.
Yeah.
I'd like that's ultimately why I'm getting my certification is because you kind of need that to teach people and not get sued and stuff.
I guess. Yeah. So especially if someone gets injured or something like. So, where did this idea come from? And how are you involved? How I am involved? Elaborate on that.
Okay. So the idea for a business like this has been sort of mulling in my mind for a while, and I have not been able to articulate what that looks like until the birth of Sailor Green and being able to visualize it. But when I was living in Harrisonburg, I was volunteering and studying the community that worked out of a community living space. I don't think I really want to say what it is because it is a vulnerable population. But there's a hot community living home, and they have a garden in the back, and everyone who lives there cares for the garden, and it's a whole ecosystem on its own. And I got to be a part of that, research the people and how the community works together. And I just thought, the shit feels nice. Like,
It does.
you walk into somewhere and everyone, they didn't know me, but they're all at home. They say, welcome. And we're like, okay. It just felt great, and I thought, "Well, wouldn't it be awesome to, like, have a place to come hang out that felt like this?" And then I gotta make money, though, like, yeah. So, there is a business in the region that does something pretty similar to what Phthalo Green is after in terms of the sauna and cold tub experience. And it's not like it's a, patented idea, right? Like, sauna, cold tub is just like a prescription from the doctor. Like, that's just good for you. But offering it to patrons of the business isn't something I really thought of until I experienced a business that does it similarly.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, they're onto something. Now I want to have the community space and the intentional curation of these activities and members that feel like this community with the wellness aspect that we get to experience at this other business that has the owner involved. Um and they kind of just it was like Lego.
Yeah. It wasn't like Legos, and um, I'll kind of talk about my involvement because when I heard this idea, I was like, "Well, what the hell are we waiting on here, though? Let's do it. Let's create the LLC tomorrow." And that's what we did. So, we are set to open uh mid 2027.
Yeah.
There's no exact date yet, but that is something that we are working on, and there's a lot of things that we have to do in between now and then.
Yeah.
But those things will be done, and we will be opening
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah, the biggest thing that we're doing is the real estate piece. So, um, gotta find the right piece of property to host like such a amazing space. Like no pressure on the property.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We did find one that was pretty cool. It ended up being sold pretty quickly, but
Quick.
we've looked at online at all these different parcels for sale, and sure they could all work.
Yeah.
But it has to have a certain
Gotta have
opinion.
some oomph to it. Yeah.
So we gotta find the right place. We gotta pay for that. I'm also still in open communication with the county about zoning and things that you need to consider with the business, which is great.
Make sure when you're talking to them that they know that if there's some rainfall, yeah, that we're okay with having it in a bucket or something.
Don't ask.
Yeah.
Us out.
Don't tell. Let's see. Okay. Well, yes, the Thalo Green,
Yeah.
that is opening next year. I believe that it will be a great thing for the community.
I think so, too, especially the community we live in Ashland. It's like, I think folks will love it. But I think, look, in case anybody is confused, Phthalo Green, pronounced Phthalo, but it's spelled T-H. T-H.
PHTH.
A-L-O.
ALO. Oh, and what is that?
It's a color.
It's a color.
Yeah, that's what it's one of my favorite colors.
And you see it a lot around our house. So
Yeah, it's a very deep, I mean, you can Google it. It's a very deep green. It's like the navy blue of the greens.
Mm.
But it's got this warmth to it, yet a brightness, even though it's a darker color. And it's not the color itself, the pigmentation is like man-made using elements from the natural space, right? So symbolically, I was
That's right.
like no further.
Yeah, that's right on. That's right on cue with what the is. Yeah, it's total sense.
And it's just gorgeous. I mean, it's a beautiful color.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited about this. I mean, I have my own business, Richmond Therapeutic Health Services. We provide mental health support services and also substance abuse intensive outpatient. But this is just another extension of what I believe is important, and that's mental health, physical activity, and just taking care of the body. Is very important as we get older. Um, I myself will be. Uh, I one thing about me is that I'm a little socially awkward. I'm unorthodox, and just the other day I was running around the house yelling how old I am, and I'm approaching 35 very fast.
He also sprained his ankle walking up the stairs.
Yeah, that happened.
Going to bed.
And then 2 days later, it's like nothing ever happened. So, as we get older, the reason why we're saying this is because as we get older,
Yeah.
it's very important to take care of your body,
No doubt.
your mind, and your soul. So, uh, last thing, I know I already said that we're going to be closing up here, but I do want to talk a little bit about us, right? Um,
Ooh,
yeah. Who who are you guys? What are you guys' relationship? So again, this is my wife, Mrs. Claire Brinkley, and just want to talk about that experience of having a wedding, what the wedding experience was like, and where you see this thing going. This whole thing that we're doing together,
I'm into the end.
right into the. But where do you see us going here shortly?
Hmm. That's a lot of questions you just put on.
I know. I know.
Well, our wedding was lit.
Yeah.
Need I say more? Uh, we made some choices for the ceremony and reception that were non-traditional that I thought were really good reflections of us as a couple. I walked myself down the aisle. We had the officiant standing in the aisle in the audience, so that way we were facing everybody while we were engaging with the officiant. I had to stand on the box because Josh is so tall. That was interesting.
That was cool.
We had a tree planting ceremony for a unity ceremony, where a script was read about the importance of caring for said tree the same way you would cater and foster the love in our relationship. That was really special, and we have the tree at home.
Yeah. And the soil was from Richmond and then from Minnesota.
Yeah, from our childhood home.
It's childhood home that in Minnesota.
Yeah, so my mom and Josh's mom dumped the soil from our childhood homes in, and then Josh and I dumped in the soil from our home where we live. I mean, it was just really good. It was cool. We had giant fat heads of our animals on the dance floor.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Big hit.
Reception was on a yacht. That was pretty nice.
Yep.
Very different.
Cupcake. I mean, I don't know. If you call us, we'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
It was really.
Don't call her. Don't call me.
It was really cool. And people said, in fact, Corey said when he got off the plane, like first thing he said to us when he got off the plane was like, "This is gonna be awesome." When we got married, the first thing I thought was, when we get to do it again.
Yeah, right.
And literally, the next day we're like, "All right,
Yeah, let's
run it back."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that whole experience was different. I mean, that from the weather, we remember when we got there, it was super cold. This was in Florida. Destin, Florida. If you haven't been, it's a very nice beach. The sand is pure white. The Emerald Coast, and the sand is kind of cold, right?
Well, yeah, it's just so white.
Yeah. It's pretty, very beautiful area. But definitely one of the best days of my life, if not the best day of my life, because it was just so beautiful. You have two families coming together, two people that love each other coming together and really sharing that experience with each other. It was just a beautiful thing.
It was.
Yeah.
Too. We gotta run that back.
You got to run it back,
I got this gorgeous dress in my closet, and it's just like, oh my god, that dress is.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, custom. Like, what are we supposed to do with that now?
Yeah, that sucks. It's going to that's $8,000 sitting in the.
I'm getting it. So there's some dress up tonight.
Yeah, maybe that's it. We'll do a little role playing, But yeah, it's
Role playing about being ourselves.
experience sucks. Role playing ourselves and then getting married again in our living room. How about that? That was a great experience. I really enjoyed that whole ceremony. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I think hopefully, everybody's wedding day is like the best day of their lives, and it's so much fun and beautiful and everything. But I mean, I feel like
10 out of 10.
our our situation was so intentionally curated that I hope all of our guests who came felt that. I think most of them did. They told me like, wow, it's a really small group and it felt really intimate and thoughtful. And, yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was down in Florida, which is where you and I would like to move.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
And that's where we're gonna eventually be moving. I know I mentioned that in season 1, kind of talking about our plans moving forward. That is in our plans. Hopefully, we can buy property down there. In fact, Claire was already looking at property out there. It just didn't work out. And so we will be probably moving on that way here soon. If not establishing a very solid, I guess, quick vacation home.
Yeah.
Something of that nature. Live down there for 6 months when it's cold up here, and then so maybe the switcheroo.
Since this podcast is talking about lessons and growing, here's something for folks. Get a good realtor.
Very important.
Like
Very important.
our realtor, Kurt. If you need a realtor comment or something, we'll hook you up with Kurt in Virginia.
Shout out to Kurt.
Oh my god.
Kurt Rochester.
Yeah, and his wife Heather. Both excellent, just like cool people for that. Like, don't make you feel awkward or anything. This vibe is really cool. Super knowledgeable. And we found Kurt from my aunt's realtor in Florida. They were selling their house and they loved their realtor, who was wonderful.
Right.
Diane. And so we said, Diane, do you know anybody in Virginia who's as great as you are? And Kurt and Dan are in the same like professional realtor group and put us on. And then when I was looking in Florida again, we went back to Diane. It's just like, it makes a world of difference. They advocate for you and your needs throughout the process.
Right.
It is so important to have a realtor you like and you trust.
Yeah. And we're going to be, not only that, I use him for the house we currently live in, we're going to be using him for the property for things.
Yeah.
Great, for sure.
Yeah. Both he and his wife will drop what they're doing and come help. In fact, when we first moved into our house, we look up in the attic, there's like a flap that you're supposed to be able to turn to put the hot air upstairs or downstairs, depending on the season. Turns out our house doesn't have one.
Yeah, because the builders forgot to add it.
You know.
Yeah, you know who you are.
But we're looking up there like, are we crazy? Like, we can't find it. We're sending Kurt pictures. Like, it should be here, right? And Kurt's like, hang on. Drives over to our house.
Yeah, he pulled up on us.
Mind you, he already saw this. Like, he doesn't know us.
Like a year later.
Yeah. And he's like, what? He's got your back, man. So just having a good realtor is one of those people in your Rolodex you really need to have. If you're looking to purchase property. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, definitely check them out. And like Claire said, if you have any questions about that, contact her.
Yeah, I think about like realty.
Is that what it's
I
called?
think so.
Okay.
If not them, just someone you like and trust and who's knowledgeable.
Yeah. All right. Well, leading into these last couple questions here, just as a closing.
He says.
Yeah. Now we are officially closing. What ties your life chapters together, and what type of legacy would you want to leave?
What ties the chapters of my life together? The natural world. Like, from making mud pies and collecting bumblebees and making tinctures out of tree bark as a kid, to all the things I chose to study, all the places I love to be, and places I feel the best. It's all nature, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. This is people when I was getting into sustainability as an area of research and career path, a lot of people in my family and others were like, "Oh, it's a liberal phase. You'll grow out of it. Sometimes a hippie phase."
Nah, that's just who I am. Sorry.
Just who I am. It's nice to get the chapters of my life for sure. And I think the legacy I'd like to leave. Are we talking like on the planet? Like when I die?
Yeah. I mean, or when you die, well, I don't really want to get to that, but more so for when you,
Like,
to the viewers, what type of information do you want to leave with them?
yeah.
Oh,
Okay. I think there's probably three things. Number one is to spend time in nature, and that includes your own mind. Because we, as human beings, are animals, part of the earth. We are nature too. And we have the mental strength and ability to turn our gaze inward and either just chill in there and like some of the most peaceful times are just in silence or to help heal. So be in nature and recognize the nature in your own self. Um, I think the best way to grow and to improve and expand anything is with intentionality. Going slow in the correct way is better than just speeding to get there. Our relationship is an example of that, like learning to teach yoga through a longer program, all of those things. Intentionality is really important. And love your people. I just, sometimes I think people forget that every day.
yeah, for sure.
It you might not have woken up today. So love everybody around you that you do love and let them know it.
For sure. Those are definitely some good pointers there for the viewers. And I highly agree with all three. It's very important to love yourself, to love other people, to engage in nature, and understand that everybody comes from different walks of life. And if you and just kind of understand that and remember that when you're you know engaging into conversation with other people or whatever the case may be, that's highly important to recognize.
Yeah.
So,
Imagine how different the world might be.
exactly. Well, thank you for telling me about your experiences, for coming on today and really talking to our viewers about your life experiences, what you have done over the years, and how you have grown. Um, so thanks for that. So yeah, tuning in for all our viewers. If you didn't catch season one, please uh, check that out if you want to. Season two, like I said before, is going to be about other people's life experiences. And the reason why we're doing this is to strongly encourage people to grow, first of all, from their experiences, and to really focus on themselves, wherever you are in your journey, improving that situation, and just becoming better overall, better human beings, treating each other better. And then, like I said, just really understanding that everybody has a story, some good, some bad, some ugly. And no matter what you may have gone through, um, the purpose of this is to talk about it and to be better from it. All right. Again, thanks, babe, for coming. We'll catch you on the next show. Thanks for coming.